as many spell cards as you want at sorcery speed.
What, for free? You just give away draw 2 cards from your deck for free? What is going on? This would be insta-banned in Magic. This would be the best card in Magic ever. 0 mana, draw 2 cards. This would be... Oh my god, I gotta play Yu-Gi-Oh! I love this. I love drawing cards. What? Okay, you can have up to 3 of them in a deck. How big is a deck?
40 cards.
Why would you not just play 3 of these in every deck?
I don't know. You tell me.
I can't think of a good reason. I can't think of a good reason. There's no way this is just legal. This is just a card in your game. This is the most banned card I've ever seen. This is absolutely stupid. No. Okay. If the game really is just about turning resources into nonsense, like, it's hard because I don't know very much, but it seems like it's very fast-paced and a lot happens. I mean, this does add a certain kind of, like, RNG element, which is exciting. It just wouldn't be tolerated. It's just automatically in every deck.
I don't think draw 2 would be tolerated for free
class like
in any card
There's no
game.
color like in Magic. You could start every deck you want with 3 of these if it's legal, right?
Doesn't say otherwise.
So my Magic brain says that's impossible, that this is so obvious. The only way a card that says draw 3. This has to be the most banned card. This card is busted and it's banned. This card is just a lock. Why wouldn't you play it? And if you say because there's better cards, I'm gonna throw my freaking drink at the wall. Anyway, final answer. I'm locked in. I'm not moving off this hill.
You ready for me to blow your mind?
Oh, God.
Yeah, this hurts me. 100%. So, okay, for context. This is this card is from, like, the first set of Yu-Gi-Oh! Period. It was legal for a time. Now, I will say, one thing that's important is that while this was not auto-banned, because obviously, I imagine Magic is similar, where cards that were printed in, like, the first few sets probably have not stood up to the test of time and have probably been banned as a result. Pot of Greed is one of those cards for us. Now, we have our limitation list, and Pot of Greed is a card that was limited to 1 very quickly for the reason you said, where you can't just play 3 of this. You're allowed to play 1, which 1 is arguably still insane, considering there's no cost to it. Eventually, when Yu-Gi-Oh! Released its first ever ban list, because we didn't get banned cards till a few years into the game, they just limited a bunch of cards to 1. Pot of Greed was one of the first cards banned, and it's not left the ban list since.
Would it just be a vanilla card game?
I'm ready to just call this complete nonsense insanity and move on. I feel like oh my god.
This is the face of Yu-Gi-Oh! You may see some cards, maybe not necessarily in this video, but if we do future videos, that are inspired by Pot of Greed in some ways. And I will say, one thing that's very different about Yu-Gi-Oh! Compared to a game like Magic or Hearthstone, from what I understand, since we don't have a mana system or a resource system, the cards themselves in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are the resource. And so card draw is very scarce, and just getting something as simple as drawing 1 card or 2 cards for 1 is incredibly uncommon. So the value of having a single additional card or a card that gets you positive card advantage
I was responsible for stocking my inn,
in this game
so you
compared
can trust
to
me with errands.
basically any other game that exists, for context. And that only got worse over time.
Interesting. Very interesting. Like and subscribe and leave a comment if you want to see
Are
me
you here to
freak
see
out.
me cheat? Feel free to take the
I
time
think
to
after
look at the
your
new
reaction to Pot
supplies,
of
too.
Greed, I'm pretty sure you're going to be definitely welcome back. Okay, so you've seen monsters, you've seen spells. We're going to finish the trifecta here. I'm going to show you a trap card. So, how a trap card works. Set the card face down to your field. After the turn you set that card, you are allowed to activate it at instant speed in response to your opponent's plays, or if they pass priority to you can activate it at any point aside from the turn you set it face down. Some of these cards have requirements to be activated, others are just, you can activate it whenever. And that typically is specified on the card. Does that make sense?
What's the cost to play them? Anything?
The card.
Oh, yeah. I don't have costs. I'll get used to it. I just have to keep asking.
Like I said, so some cards will have costs, and it'll say in the card if it does have a cost.
You know,
so,
fuck this, dude. I'll get my glasses. Here we go. Oh, Jesus Christ.
here, now you know for future videos you need your glasses.
Mirror Force is a trap card, and it says you can only activate this card when your opponent's monster declares an attack, and it says destroy all attack position monsters on your opponent's side of the field. What? All of them? Okay. Need a little context about the shape of a turn.
In Yu-Gi-Oh, it has phases similar to Magic. So the phases go as such. There's the draw phase, you draw a card. The standby phase, which is similar to Magic's upkeep, I believe, but it's just a phase where some things may happen. Most of the time, you can skip it over. Then there's main phase 1, where you can
really not anymore.
activate spells or set trap cards. The battle phase, which is where you declare your attacks. The second phase, where you can do the same things as the first main phase, and then the end phase, and then the turn passes to the other player.
Wow, so monsters all have virtual haste. They can attack the turn they come down, but you don't always want to play them in the first main. Interesting.
Correct. So, and to clarify, if you normal summon a monster in your first main phase, you cannot get an extra normal summon in the second main phase. However, if you don't normal summon in the first main phase, you can still normal summon in the second main phase.
In Magic, I would say this card is pretty darn insane. Just, like, especially against haste-powered decks. Like, this is a very powerful card. In Magic, this would be like instant speed, destroy all attacking creatures or something like that, which is wild. But it's even better than that in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, because attack position is like a yes or no, like binary 1 or 0 question. So
make sure my hat is always in your sights.
If
Stay
they
close
play
to
in
me.
that position, it destroys things, which is kind of absolutely wild. However, like, this could be stupid. I'm gonna say something that could be stupid.
Okay,
I think this is actually a balancing tactic for Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? Because hear me out. So, because all monsters can attack the turn they come down, and because this card exists,
I don't have much to
goes from
contribute
being
on
a
the front line.
smash game
I'll
that
count
a
on you
2-year-old
guys.
could play to, oh, maybe I don't want to do that. You know? It just, the existence of this card offers a reason not to play the game the way that you think you obviously should.
sure, there's interaction.
Yeah. And that's good for games.
If this scene could be
I have a feeling that
reenacted,
this is supposed to
what
look
would be
insane, but it's probably not as
your
insane as I think it is.
choice?
It's probably an important element of the game, and maybe to the point that it's not even that bad. It might not even be that played, you know, because you want people to play around it a little, but if you always have it, then they play around it and it's not as good. It's the mind game, right? Oh, God, I don't want to call it bad. The fact that people can play around it doesn't mean they always will.
Firewall
But
debugging
this strikes me as a
completed.
card that
You're under
scales
protection now.
with talent. Like, this might be great in the card store and bad in the tournament. I'm just gonna say it's a good card. It's a good card, and Jane can paint. Violence, yes.
Oh, you're so close. You're so close.
Stop.
It is, in fact, a good card. It's a great card. It's fantastic.
Got banned?
It has been banned before. Now, I will say, by modern Yu-Gi-Oh standards, this card is at 3 and is perfectly fine. But that is 20 years later. This card has kind of popped all over the place. It's been limited for quite some time as well in the early days, so there's only a singular copy. And like you said, it did create that mind game dynamic of, if you can like look at their graveyard and see like, if they have that Mirror Force and I have 3 attack position monsters, I'm just gonna get 3 for 1 and I'm gonna hate myself. So there are the mind games that this card creates, and while there are other board wipes in Yu-Gi-Oh, I would say this is probably one of the most iconic. This is used in the show. This is a card that as kids, people know that just getting absolutely demolished by this card. It's a very strong card, especially by like old Yu-Gi-Oh standards. So much so that it did get eventually banned and re-limited and re-banned. They kind of didn't really know what to do with it in the early days. But that lets it standards this card's in 3, and it's fine. Why ban it?
Let them get blown out. Let them feel bad about themselves. Let them hate themselves. They need to learn. Teach the children. That's my opinion.
That's kind of how we feel when I alluded to that popular retro format that's seen a lot of resurgence lately. Mirror Force is legal in that format. It's at 1 copy, and it's a very skillful card that people have to decide whether or not they want to lose the game, because if they attack into Mirror Force, they just lose. I think it's actually like very healthy for older style of Yu-Gi-Oh! In that regard. So I think it was never really justified being banned personally. Other people might have different takes on that, but I think
It was banned? I thought it was just at 1 right away.
3 for whole Yu-Gi-Oh! Might have been too much, to be fair. But I think at 1 it would have been okay.
Don't play Kate.
Okay.
Don't be afraid.
You just want to.
I won't let anyone hurt you.
Punish them. Teach them lessons. Anyway, that's me.
It is a children's card game.
So, here's the trifecta. So you see monsters, spells, and traps. Those are the 3 main card types for Yu-Gi-Oh! So now we're going to start getting a little bit more in depth. The cards I'm going to show you are still pretty simple for what it's worth, but I mentioned how with monsters, you're allowed 1 normal summon per turn, which you might think, okay, that's pretty slow in terms of, building up the pace of the game. You are also allowed what's called a special summon. So a special summon is essentially anything that is not your 1 normal summon per turn. And you're allowed to special summon infinite number of times during your turn. There's no restriction. The only restriction is if the card says something about you not being able to special summon in some way. Okay. So this is one of the most popular special summon type cards. And so let me see what you think about this.
Cyber Dragon. Level 5 monster. If there is a monster on your opponent's side of the field, and there are no monsters on your side of the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay, very simple requirement. The attack is 2100, the defense is 1600.
Now, because it is level 5, you might think you still have to tribute to summon this. That is irrelevant. So when it comes to special summoning, unless it says on the card, the level is irrelevant for a special summon.
I guess I don't know. Most monsters are most monsters level 4 or below? Is a level 5 monster pretty unusual?
No, they can go up to level 12.
Okay. So this is about
yeah, it's again, you're special summoning it. You can tribute summon it. You don't have to special summon it, although that's kind of like the purpose of it. Yeah, this is in terms of like if you're looking at a level to attack ratio, this is in like the middle ground. Yes. So what are your first thoughts on this?
Good shows about interesting way of even
Good shows about
Please enjoy the show.
Because you can play this and then you can normal summon something that's level 4 or less, right?
Good shows about.
So kind of flips the table and that kind of thing. I like cards like that quite a bit. Getting any kind of decent-sized attacker for free is pretty good. And getting the special summon, you are playing it after the first turn, which means it can attack the turn it comes down. That's gotta be something. That's gotta be pretty good. It's probably not hard to create a situation where you have no monsters, since you can attack your opponent's monsters with your monsters, and I'm sure that there's a decent amount of like opponents want to kill your monsters. That's gotta be a thing. So getting this down, being able to cast this for free shouldn't insanely hard. Should be pretty easy. So here we are talking about whether or not a free 2100 attacker, 1600 defender is good. I guess you have to play it in attack position. Do you have to play it in attack position?
No. So you actually are, when you special summon, you get to, unless the card says otherwise, you get to pick if it's either face-up attack or face-up defense.
Face-up.
So you could hypothetically special summon this in face-up defense.
Because I was going to say, you can't play it face down and just be like, I get to play this now for free, take my word for it. Okay. Yeah.
You can try to cheat, but I don't know how well that can
worked at my card store. Anyway.
Yeah.
Is this good? It seems good. It's like, in Magic, this is very good. In Magic, you would play this.
Well, this equate to in Magic let's see, this has a quarter of your life points in terms of attack. So this would be a 5 damage haste that you can play for 0 mana if your opponent has a creature in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and aside from that,
On turn 1,
various
on turn
ways to
I already
sacrifice your
know the
creatures
other
for
side's
benefit, just
plan
throw
like
them
the
in your
back of
opponent's
my
creatures.
hand.
Like, yeah, on turn 1, yeah, this would be absolutely insane. You're gonna tell me this is just a fine card, or that nobody plays it or something, but it looks busted to me. Did it have to be banned? Let me ask this. Is this effect incredibly unique? Is this like the only thing you can play for free when your opponent
I
meets a
relieve them of
requirement?
pain.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm gonna guess this card not busted, not banned.
I don't like
Yes.
Cyber Dragon is incredibly good. It's an incredibly solid card for old Yu-Gi-Oh! Like you mentioned, and some of the stat lines of these first monsters I've showed you were intentional to sort of give you some insight into how powerful this card was when it was released, because there had never been a card that had done this. This card was released, I want to say, 4 years into Yu-Gi-Oh!'s lifespan. And similar to what you said, it was a great way to equalize going second. Going first is always a huge advantage in any card game. And being that you could drop a monster for free that can essentially contest any monster that's
Don't
currently
come
on
any
the
closer.
field is nuts. And there's some other, synergies you might see later for why this card would also be good. As Yu-Gi-Oh! Aged, and as we got more monsters that did special summon, because ironically special summoning became less special as the game aged, because it became the norm, so we should have flipped the terms. But anyway, aside from just bringing itself out onto the field, it didn't really do much else besides that. And so, for older Yu-Gi-Oh!, fantastic card. For newer Yu-Gi-Oh!, there is a Cyber Dragon deck that plays other Cyber Dragons that have different names. It's good for that one particular deck, because you need to play Cyber Dragon in that deck. But that is it. You will basically never see this card played in any other capacity. And it was never banned. I think it was limited at one point, so you got that part correct.
Okay.
So congratulations.
Yeah, we're on it. I understand the game perfectly. Continue.
Exactly. Alright, let's see you perfect knowledge of this game with this card. So, we talked about normal
really
summoning,
like
we
being
talked
with
about
me,
special
don't
summoning,
you?
and we got into tribute summoning a little bit. As I said with tribute summoning, if a monster has 5 or 6 stars, it requires 1 monster to be sacrificed in order to play to the field. And that costs your normal summon in order to do that. So it's kind of like an enhanced normal summon, if you will. So let me know what you think about this card.
Enhanced normal summon. Okay.
Are you
This
sure you
is
want to leave this to me?
So Jinzo is a level 6 monster with 2,400 attack and 1,500
The phone's
defense.
ringing,
It
my
says,
dear.
as long as this card remains face-up on the field, trap cards cannot be activated. The effects of all face-up trap cards are negated. Hold on, let me look at the last trap card. You can only destroy all... Does this stay on the field? Trap card?
No, so in the instance of if you're looking at Mirror Force is a normal trap. So when you activate it, it will, after its effect resolves, it goes to the green.
So
is your
what are
only
these traps that
destination.
the effects of all face-up trap cards are negated? I guess that can be when it's turned face-up.
So we will get to them a little bit later. There are some traps that are continuous, so they kind of, in magic speak, they're basically like enchantments. So they stay on the field, but they can be used at instant speed to sort of like surprise your opponent. So that would be what that's
It ends here.
Okay, yeah, I feel like there might be some weird timing stuff I'm trying to get. As long as this remains face-up on the field. So if you play it face down, no, in the defense position, when do you turn it face-up? When the opponent attacks it?
Mirror Force, or what are you
Jinzo. If you play a monster in the defense
Please don't
position,
come over
face down,
here.
yeah? When do you turn it face-up?
So if you set a monster face down, you are, during your next turn, allowed to flip that monster face up. That doesn't count as your normal summon or anything, that's just you're allowed to, if you want to, flip that
You
monster
can change
face up.
positions. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Any monster once per turn can go from attack position to defense position, or vice versa, as long as it wasn't summoned on that turn. That's sort of like you're blocking, if you will.
Sure.
But Jinzo,
dear.
a tribute summon, also is like a normal summon where it can either be face-up attack or you can tribute set into face-down defense. Not that you really want to do with this card.
So this card, it's a lot of context. I'm sure I'm struggling with. I will say that just reading it,
Chief,
it negates
I
a
guess
third
it's
of the
hard for
game.
someone like you to talk about your work.
The difficulty effect and nowhere's all over the place.
Take a look at my
If I'm
treasures.
understanding the effect correctly,
You
it also
see
affects
something you
your
like,
trap
it's
cards.
yours.
It's your deck building, so you can build in such a way that you're not trapping very often. It does strike me, if you go up against a deck that's reliant on trap cards, I don't know if these even exist, but it's a third of the game.